Hi, I'm Diane from Out of Debt Now, and I had someone ask me some questions recently. Actually, that someone is my nephew, who wanted to know my opinion about car buying, leasing, purchasing, loans, all that. Um, since I do have some definite opinions about it, and I think if you want to build wealth, you're going to have to invest in things. That means buy things, purchase things that go up in value instead of things that spending a whole lot of money on things that decrease in value. And obviously, I think we all know, and at least we should know, that cars decrease in value. Um, Cars, vehicles, anything with motors is generally a decreasing asset. They lose their value very quickly. Cars, especially vehicles, when you roll them off the lot, when you drive the car over the driveway out into the street, you've lost um, probably a couple $100, maybe several $100. Some vehicles maybe 1,000. I remember I felt that the very first time I bought my very brand new car, a brand new car when I was, gosh, I think about 21, 22. It was a Toyota. Gosh, I'm just gonna say Toyota. Yeah, I think it was a Toyota Corolla, and it was the cutest little car. But I remember driving off the lot and like feeling like I could hear the sound of my car losing value right then and there. So I'm gonna share with you some questions that he asked me, and I wrote them down on my handy dandy legal pad, and let's just kind of go through this together. The first question is, should I buy or lease a car, and why? I don't think that you should lease a car. I have made that mistake. I knew it was wrong when I made that mistake. But at the time, I had a car that I had owned, I had paid cash for. It was only 3 years old. It was a Lexus RX 330. Actually, my favorite car. I loved that car. And I really did feel like I, got the best of the dealer on that one. I bought it pre-owned. It was only 3 years old, and came in about, oh gosh, I think it was like 30,000 miles. And I drove it for, let's see, I have to do this based on the age my child was born and when I finally got rid of it. It was probably 2007 or 8 to 2018. I drove that car for 10 years, and I actually ended up turning it in 300,000 miles on a car that I bought with cash, so I didn't pay an inch of interest on that car. And I drove the heck out of that thing, and I turned it in when it needed about $8,000 worth of work. And I thought, okay, it's time to get rid of that car. And you know what? I still should have kept that car and just made the repairs, because I probably would have been to the point where maybe if I gotten a rebuilt engine, it would have been like getting a new car, and I'd still be driving that car because I liked it. I didn't care what anybody thought about the fact that it wasn't brand new, the fact that it was older. It seemed to be a model with the appearance of looking pretty modern, even though there were models that came out after that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So when that car died, and it did die, I was at a point where I was like, well, I looked around the street, didn't really see any cars that I liked. And so I didn't want to get stuck buying a car that, again, I'm going to end up with for 10, 12 years, because our family, we drive our cars into the ground, which I love about our family. And when I say a family, I mean our sisters and brothers, my sisters and brothers, my parents. I guess that came from my parents. My father did that, so kind of all of us do that. And I think it's really benefited us very well. But anyway, there wasn't any car on the market that I wanted at that time, so I took out a lease. And I knew it was a bad idea, but after listening to, I call him my mentor, Dave Ramsey, it was probably even a worse decision than I thought. So anyway, I was paying $416 a month, and that was going to be $416 for 3 years, so I guess the 36 months. And so the total would have been, and I've got a little calculator, $416 times 36 is $14,976. plus I put down a $5,000 down payment. So in total, I would have paid nearly about $20,000. It's like $19,976. So $20,000 to drive the car for 3 years. So that's kind of rounding it up. But I'll do that amount, $20,000 divided by 3. So every year I paid about $6,666 to drive that car. And the funny thing about it is, I think you can get a pretty decent car for $20,000. You buy a pre-owned car, which is basically the equivalent of buying a new car, and spend $20,000 on it. You could have that car for probably the next 10 years. If you drive it, safely, you do the oil changes and maintenance that it needs, rotating the tires when it needs that. So you could spend $20,000 on a pre-owned car, which is like brand new, and drive it for the next 10 years. And if you pay cash for that car, now you didn't pay any interest, because the minute you pay interest for something, you've paid more for that item than you would have if that had been like the sticker price. And that means whether it's clothes, whether it's a bike, whether it's toilet paper. See, it's like COVID-19 right now. See how I kind of fit that toilet paper in? But everyone's trying to find a deal, sales, so to pay as little as possible. And then as soon as you charge it or take out a loan, you've now spent, who knows, depending on how long it takes you to pay it off, you could spend 3 years of interest on paying more for something than you ever would have if it had been the sticker price. People, you got to be allergic to interest. I hate paying interest, which is which is why I'm very good with money now. I don't use credit cards. If I do, it's because I've budgeted for an item that I've saved for a long time, and usually it's kind of because it's connected to Amazon. And I'll buy the item, and then I take the money out of the envelope that I've saved for that item, and I put it in the bank, and I immediately pay off the card. So I'm like really serious about this budgeting stuff. But that's another video for another time. But anyway, so you should buy your car, don't lease it, because leasing is like the equivalent of you're paying like, I don't know, maybe 15% interest, which you would never pay for a car. You'd never pay that much interest on a car that you would negotiate a loan on. And like loans, a car loan, they would have to tell you what interest that is you're paying for the car. I think they're probably around 4% right now. But anyway, when you lease a car, they don't tell you. There is no interest per se, so they can get away with charging whatever they want. And roll it all up in the lease, and you don't realize that now that you've paid about, I don't know, 18-19% interest for a car, and you would never have done that for a loan. So yes, buy your car, do not lease it, which is like a long-term 3-year rental. Again, rental prices, we always know, are higher than if you just purchase something. And buy it with cash, because you do not want to pay extra on a car for 3 freaking years. And that's 3 years. That's a 3-year lease. A lot of leases go, 5 years? 4 to 5 years. The other thing is, you're going to have to replace your car. So get a car account and throw maybe $100 a month in there, or $200 a month. But basically you're going to have a car that you're thinking about in the future. You know pretty much how much you're going to want to pay for it. So save up that money, maybe over a period of 2-3 years. And then when you go to buy a car, pay cash. Do not tell the dealer that you want to pay cash, because they actually give you a better deal if you charge it. Go out for a loan, because one, they want that interest, so they're going to make it sound really good and attractive for you to put those monthly payments down there. That's another thing. I'm allergic to monthly payments. Can't stand monthly payments. I cannot stand people taking my paycheck, a little bit of my paycheck every little month, because I worked hard for it. That's my paycheck. Why am I giving you a piece of my paycheck every month? Don't do that. When they go in and ask you how much you want to pay per month, do not play that game. Do not tell them a figure. Just tell them you want to know how much the price of the car is. Negotiate it down as much as you can. Tell them, I'm kind of undecided how much I want to pay right now per month. Tell them I'm not sure yet how I want to pay for it. Just negotiate it down as much as you can. And then when you go into the finance office and start talking about how you're going to pay for that, then you tell them, I'm going to pay cash. The next question. If you're already in a car lease, what should you do? This is what I did, because I told you I hate monthly payments. I had I just started getting out of debt. We were in a lot of debt. And I learned finally how to get out of that debt. And I was in this lease, and I'd been paying monthly payments for maybe first year, 12 months. And I just couldn't take it anymore. And after I'd gotten out of debts on some other items, and the car was next, I took all of the money from the payments I'd been making on other debts that I had paid off, threw it all on the car. Every payment that I had, I would put like an extra 1,000 on it, or 800, whatever I had, and my budget would tell me how much I would have left over every month. And I ended up paying off that car. Actually, it had to have been less time than that, because I got to the year mark and I paid off 3 years of payments. So I had started making extra payments probably 6 to 8 months after I got the car. But by the time I got to the year mark, I just said, F this. And I remember writing the check to pay off the balance. And so even though it was a 3-year car lease, I paid it off in a year. And you know what? A lot of people told me, I didn't know you could prepay like a lease. I didn't know you could pay the entire lease up front. I said, yeah, you can do that. So you don't have those monthly payments. The interest at that point didn't matter because it was a lease car, so there was no interest. But again, I told you it was like worked into the lease, I'm sure. But I paid for 3 years in a year. So I was able to go for the last 2 years without making any monthly payments on that car. So I got to keep that money. And then I used that, the payments I was making on the car, towards my next debt. And so if you're already in a lease, decide whether you just want to go and pay off the whole thing at once. And if you want the car, well, this is a whole another story. I didn't want the car. I love the car. It's another Lexus. It's kind of like a step down from the one I'd had before, and it's just ergonomically, I don't like it. It's beautiful on the outside. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. It's so pretty. Let's see if I can show you a picture of my car. But once you get inside, like my husband would get inside the passenger seat, would hit his head on the door frame every time. When we lifted the back gate and we'd put in groceries away, it didn't lift high enough. I don't know why. They didn't make it really clear. So my husband would hit his head on the gate when he would be putting groceries in the car. And I hit my head too. I mean, I banged it, but good. And just some things like that annoyed me. And where we just got in the car. And oh my gosh. How do you not make a car nowadays with not 6 car chargers and cup holders? I mean, there are not enough chargers in the car for, there's none in the back seat. So my son couldn't charge his phone from the back seat. We're always kind of like fighting for the wires in the front seat. And like we got an extra long one so we could throw it to him. But then if my husband and I needed it, he couldn't be on it because we had 2. And there are 3 of us. And if I needed it, then the other 2 couldn't be on it. You know what I mean? So this just wasn't the car for us. So I know I'm not going to keep it. So I made sure I stayed under the miles because, again, I don't like paying something more than what I negotiated to begin with. And I swore I was not going to pay even a quarter over the mileage. I think it's 25 cents a mile if you go over 30,000. So I want to turn it in at 30,000 or maybe like 29,800. And I'll let you know if I'm able to do that. Because right now we're getting kind of close. And so we're actually thinking about doing that car account now. Because I'm really in debt payoff mode on some other debts. But there is one debt, my school loan, I'm just almost about to pay off. And once I pay that off, there's going to be one last one. It's a biggie. But I might pause that just to make sure that I have the money there to pay for another car. Because I'm turning mine in. If you want to keep your car at the end of the lease, you can do that, but you're probably going to get robbed. It's going to be like buying a brand new car. Having bought a brand new car, they're going to sell it to you at a value that it's worth at that point in time for selling to a dealer, not a private party. You see my doggy? He's, hi, Princeton. Hi. Hi, boy. Hi. Anyway, but you know, I think you can negotiate on that car once you want to buy it, but again, keep the miles low, because if you go over the miles too much, they've got you. And they're going to say, okay, you don't have to pay for all those miles that you ran over. By looking at this car over here, why don't we negotiate and talk about this car over here in exchange for you not having to pay thousands of dollars because you went over on the mileage. If you lease a car, please be wary of the miles that you put on that car. Do not go over it. Be smart. Plan ahead. Let's see. There's another question here. If I buy a car, how should I purchase it? And should I take out a loan? And I think I've already talked to you about that. Pay cash for your cars, always. And try not to let anything you do, to not let the dealer know that you're going to pay cash. Because we went to look at, well, my husband had a Prius, and also I think our cars died at the same time. It was the weirdest thing. And he also needed thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to work on his Prius. And so we went to the dealer, and we just decided, let's walk the pre-owned lot and see what's out here. And we talked to a dealer who was really cool. I mean, if we buy a car, I'd like to buy one from him, because he was honest with us. And I said something about, we're going to pay cash, because at the time I didn't really know. I shouldn't tell him that. I actually thought that was a benefit. And he's like, oh, do not tell the dealer, like when you're going to be ready to buy a car, don't tell the dealer that you want to buy cash. And I was like, why not? That you want to buy it with cash? I said, why not? And he said, because we make money off of you guys taking out a loan. Because we can either get the cash now for a smaller amount, or we can get you on a loan, paying extra on that car through interest for the next, some up to 7 years. Because now they have loans, like they can give you a loan for 7 years on a car. I mean, why would you want to pay 7 years of interest on a car? You all really need to invest in, this is telling me that I'm running out of charge again. My doggy, hi doggy. You all really need to download an amortization calculator. I don't mean to sound like a nerd, but I love calculators. I love them. I love compound interest calculators. I love amortization calculators. And I said you should look at an amortization calculator, AMORTIZATION, but it's a compound interest calculator, I believe. It's one of the two. Anyway, I'll tell you in another video another time. But see how much your balance is on that item, and how much you paid for that item, and how much you will pay for that item in 7 years with the interest rate plugged in. You're probably going to pay, I don't know, you might end up paying for 2 cars for the price of one. And that's just stupid. Anyway, so pay cash. Cash, you've saved over time, because you already know. It's like Christmas. You know Christmas is coming in December. You should be putting money aside every month for Christmas, even if it's $10, $20 from the January before, because you know darn well Christmas is coming. And that's how it is with cars. Cars don't last forever, so you should have an account where you're throwing money into to sit down to save for a car, so you can go in and pay cash. So you pay for the car once, not twice, because that's just stupid. Okay, what else did he ask me? Should I buy a new car or used car? Again, I kind of already went over this. I bought a car that was 3 years old, drove it. I really want to say it was over 10 years. But anyway, I drove it for, these 10 years. Got it at 30,000 miles, I believe it was, and turned it in at 300,000 miles. And we really didn't have any problems with it till the end, because it was Toyota Lexus line. I just trust their cars completely. Do your research on cars through bluebook.com, or what's the other company name? Ooh, I can't remember. I'll put it down below if I do remember. But do your research on cars and the repair rate, how long they last, car reviews from people that have owned them. Again, I swear by Toyota Lexus line. I just think they put out a great product. If you buy a car new, as I've stated, they go down in value like a rock. I wish I had a rock. Like a rock. It's a coaster. Anyway, but that's how a rock sounds when it hits the ground. And again, you want to be putting your money into appreciating assets, not assets or not products that go down in value like cars do. And the last question he asked me is, when a dealer says 0% down, is that just a scam or an actual benefit? I'm not going to say it's a scam, but it's a way to get you to buy a car. 0% interest usually will last for a certain amount of time. Let's say 0% interest for a year. And everyone thinks that they're going to pay off that car in a year. Or some are like, well, it might take me 5 years, but at least for 1 year I didn't have any interest. It's only a scam in that they're trying to get you hooked. And again, I don't think it's a scam. It's just a way to get you to buy a car from them. It's a technique. It's a way to get you into their loan. They're trying everything they can do to get you into that loan because there's something you need to know about loans and credit. Credit and loans are how businesses make money now. It used to not be that way back in like my grandparents' day, even my parents' day, but it is now. It's about having you pay in the future for a certain amount of time on a product that really just had one price on it, but they're getting you to pay for that same item over and over and over and over again. And people do it every single day of the week. It's normal now. They charge you, they get a loan from you, or charge you for something. They give you credit, they extend you credit, and they get you to take out loans. And it's just up to the businesses, as crafty as they can be, to figure out what their product's going to be. Sometimes it's a car, sometimes it's clothes, sometimes it's whatever you can finance, even a home, but that's a whole nother story. But it's just about, let's get these people on a loan, extend them credit to keep paying us so that we can live high on the hog in our lives. Keep them down and poor, although they don't think they really think of it that way. They're just trying to find a way to keep bringing money into their business continually. But then they just need to find the product. Sometimes, from what I understand, car dealers, they don't make their money on the sale of the car. That's just the fill in the blank item to make you take out the loan or extend your credit that you keep paying on over and over and over again, out to 7 years. Again, get an amortization calculator to see how much you've really paid for that car. It'll make you sick. So anyway, 0% down is not a scam. It's just a way to get you into buying a vehicle on their lot. And again, it usually doesn't extend the length of the loan, although I've heard some say, no, 0% for 5 years. But again, even if that's the case, do you really want to be paying 5 years at 60 months for something? Do you want something coming out of your paycheck for 60 months? That's 5 years. I want to keep my monthly paycheck. It's like a game to me. It's a game. I just got my check. It went into my account, automatic deposit. How much of it can I keep? And that thinking is going to make me wealthy. Because once I figure that out, I stopped sharing my check with everybody who wanted a piece of it. So I think, is that it? Yeah. So yeah, you can do 0 down for the length of the car, but why would you want to have to think about that every single month of that coming out of your check? Don't do it. Just pay cash for as many things you can. So to sum it up, buy a pre-owned car, low mileage, to have saved for that car, and then go in and pay cash without letting them know up front that you want to pay cash. And don't lease a car. You're leasing a very high interest rate, and you have to be very cautious of the miles that you put on it, because you don't want to pay any more for that car after you turn it in. So that's all I have to tell you about purchasing a car. So if you like what you heard, subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to keep this good advice coming. All right? Thanks a lot. Hey, nephew. Hopefully that answers your question. All right? Bye.